Hi, this is Gary Minchell, and years ago when I was working for a magazine, we hit this really bright idea about doing an on-the-road series every time I went to a conference, and 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 researched around and had all my meetings and everything, and then we would say, hey, why don't we do an on-the-road video and podcast about where you've gone, and actually for the last several months I haven't even updated my podcast at all. I've been totally swamped with a whole bunch of stuff and trying to figure out what directions to go. Now that I'm running my own little company called the Manufacturing Connection, and getting involved in a lot of different kinds of consulting and analysis kind of work in addition to all the reporting I do. Anyway, I'm sitting here. It's October, I believe the 13th, and I'm in the Colorado Convention Center. My first time to go off of the airport in Denver and actually go into the city. So we're downtown Denver, and I'm at the Emerson Exchange Global Users Group 2015, and it's very interesting. So it's still a big show, but Emerson, became a major supplier of automation to oil and gas, and guess what? The price of oil has dropped precipitously, and therefore for the last 8 months, people who work in the oil and gas industry don't travel. I mean, budgets have been cut. Actually, Emerson sales have suffered to a degree because of that. And they still have a total of around 2,500 people here. Without the oil situation, it probably would have been 3,500. I think it's remarkable they've got as many here as they did, given situations. So anyway, just some of the news is coming up. Aside from that, we had a product press conference today, and they unleashed a whole ton of products on us. And I was talking with one of the vice presidents, and he said, "Well, you realize we cut a whole lot out to keep it down to the amount that we actually showed you guys." And it's a lot. So Emerson is still innovating, still bringing out products, and just a ton of stuff going on there. And I'll put that on my blog at themanufacturingconnection.com. But I'll just put some synopses, and the best thing is just go from my blog to the website and check it all out. So, kind of the biggest thing that they were coming up with is project certainty. And they've built all these technologies over the last 10 years or so, like wireless and wireless instrumentation, and the charms and electronic marshalling. Charms are the little configurable I/O that I can just stick them in, and I don't have to have a slot for an input, digital input and analog input and all that stuff. Makes it an awful lot easier to make changes. Actually, it's easier to design a cabinet because all I need is I'm probably going to have so many field devices and I/O, and then I can design my cabinets, go out there, and if I've got to make a change, in the field, big deal. I can either stick another one in, I can change the configuration of the charm, whatever. Well, all of these things that they've been working on, let's take that, if we will, take that sail up a little bit in the organization that they're selling to. So instead of, we're talking to automation engineers and that sort of people. And now what if we say, let's go to plant managers and a higher level of organization and project leaders. Say if I'm building some huge new project. So if we look at those projects, the critical path through the project chart seems to always go through automation. What if we took automation out of the critical path because we use the standardization and we use these things like wireless that makes it easy to reconfigure things and to stick another sensor out there or something like that. I don't have to dig a trench, put cabling and all that stuff. The charms, the little I/O things that are configurable so I can make changes if I need to. I can do a lot of these things that take automation off the critical path. And so what I saw was that for years they've been building this up, and now it looks like that I can take my sale, if I'm Emerson, to a higher level and start talking about the benefits of actually the whole project. And if I use automation as an enabler to take it off the critical path and help it enable the other paths, and they're showing, some research that shows significant savings in time and money. Well, time is money in projects. by some of these new methods that they're using. So they're working. They've already done some. Sasol was a $9 billion, actually 8 different plants in one site, if you will. Um, Project. It's not done yet, but the whole planning and everything's been going on with this kind of new methodology that they're putting forward in project management of using all these automation technologies and moving them along and taking them into a new space in the organization. So that's significant. It's a significant benefit to their users, their customers. Um, in some regards, the customers are saying, "Oh, good, I don't have to buy as much stuff," which it's one of those things where Emerson can get in better with the customer, but at the same time, maybe some of the sales aren't there that they might have had in the past. But I think overall they'll do just fine. Um, the other thing, I just had a big briefing and a demonstration on something called Project Data Link, and this is they're working on ways to bring data in from disparate sources, and right now the whole end game is to get it into the Delta V system, but at some point it can go either Delta V system for programming, and running the controls, or it could go into the AMS system for asset management, or it could go into also documentation. And this is like the first beta release sort of deal going on, but it's very interesting. I've been working with the group, the Oil and Gas Interoperability Project, and with Alan Johnston and some people involved in that. I've been sitting in their meetings for years, and they have this concept of all the data from design, into operations, and then maintenance, and then feedback into design, so that the as built and as designed kind of loop together, and we have one source of data. This project isn't that big yet. I mean, it's really it's considerably narrower, but it's the same idea. ISO, and if I get my numbers right, it's ISO 15926 or NEMUR NE 150. There are some of these standards for the data that Emerson is actually using, or they can use, or they can use Excel, or they can do other things to bring data in. They can write a link and a connector if they need to. So this is it's a very interesting first step, and I think it's going to, I think next year when I come back, I'll see a lot of advances in this ability to import data. And right now, they really can't export it that well, but they will be able to before too long. And the savings for their customers when they do all this is going to be fantastic. So those were kind of the big things. There was some stuff. They bought a bunch of companies, some interesting things in other technologies for sensing. Something they talked about, pervasive sensing. And that fits into something called the Internet of Things, and they had a bunch of sessions on the Internet of Things, which I'm going to maintain after a talk I heard on O'Reilly Media. Just call it the Internet. There's just things, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff, and we just put it on the Internet. That's kind of what we do. And a number of talks. I did talk to one new company here, Seek, SEEQ, and it's an analysis company. And as I talked to them, they said, get people to quit using the term big data because it scares people, and it's just data. So we have data, but it's no good unless I have an analysis. And Seek is a very interesting tool, and as they feed me information about their product and what they're doing, I'll feed that back into also because all this pervasive sensing, Internet of Things, all of it doesn't mean anything if I don't get some analysis that I can work on and actually make decisions from, and that sort of thing. So anyway, it's a really brief recap of some of the important stuff I saw this week at Emerson Exchange 2015 in Denver, Colorado. And I guess maybe I'm back into some of my digital stuff again with podcasts and videos. So write to me with ideas and things you want to hear, and or point me to the next thing, the next big thing. Till then, this is Gary Minchell, the Manufacturing Connection, signing off.